Hey, what's up guys? My name is Josh from MTG Pals, and today I'm going to do a deck tech for you guys on Green-White Township. So let's get right into it. So, as I said, this is a Green-White Township deck, and to start off, let's look at the mana accelerators. So, we've got 4 Avacyn's Pilgrim. He's a 1/1 for 1, and you basically just tap him for planes, for white mana. Then we've got 3 Birds of Paradise, who's a 0/1 flyer for also 1. And he just adds any mana of any color to your mana pool. And then Lawnmower Elves, 1/1 for 1 green, adds a green to your mana pool. This guy should be a birds, I just don't have one yet. It's one of the ones on the channel, so yeah. Next, we have a Geist Honored Monk, and I'm sure you guys know, most of you guys know what these cards do, I'm just reading it out to those who don't. So he's 5 mana, 2 white, for a star. He has Vigilance. When he enters the battlefield, he brings 2 spirits, 2 1/1 spirits with flying with him, and his power and toughness are equal to the number of creatures you control. So this guy is just really good just because it brings a lot of blockers if you're playing faster aggro than this deck, like Delver, or it's really good because it's just more beaters, less people that can be blocked, or more people that need to be blocked. Next, in 4 slot, we've got Hero Bladehold. This guy is one of the major win conditions of this deck. 3/4 for 4, Battle Cry. So whenever he attacks, he brings 2 1/1 soldiers into play tapped and attacking. So first attack with this guy, it's 7 damage. That is a lot. I've had instances where I've swung in for 15 on like turn 4 because of this guy. So he is really good, really essential to the deck. Next, we've got 1 Thrun the Last Troll. He is a hexproof 4/4 for 4. He cannot be countered, which is nuts, and he can regenerate for 2. So this guy's just a pest for control. You can't really deal with him. You can't counter him. You can't target him. And you can only Day of Judgment him pretty much the turn that the turn right after he's casted. So this guy is really, really good. Next, I run 4 Mirran Crusaders. So he's a 2/2 for 3 with double strike, protection from black and green. And he's just he just beats down. He's tough to kill because I mean he only really died to red, because black is the other huge removal color, and so he's really good. He sticks around for a while if you're playing the right decks, and I don't know, he just really beats down on the opponent. And if you can pump him with Gavany, that's an extra 2 damage instead of 1 for the counter. Next up, we run 4 Blade Splicers. So Blade Splicer is a 3/3 or 1/1 for 3. That enters the battlefield with a 3/3 artifact golem, and its other effect is that golems you control have first strike. So this guy is also really good because he brings another body that has to be dealt with, and he also is 4 damage when he for 3 mana, which is pretty damn good. So Blade Splicer is also really good. Then we have 1 Mikaeus the Lunarch. This guy, I had to think a good amount before I decided to put him into the deck, but he's just really good with interactions with Blade Splicer and Mirran Crusader because the 1/1 counter goes a long way with those guys because Blade Splicer is 2 guys to put 1/1 counters, Mirran Crusader is double strike. So I like having the 1 of Mikaeus in the deck. So basically, how the curve is set up is that I have the turn 1 mana accelerators that, unless they're killed, which depending on the deck you're playing against, they often won't be killed on turn 1. The 1/1 mana accelerators will lead into a 3-drop like a Mirran Crusader or a Blade Splicer on turn 2. So that's pretty scary to see that on turn 2. And then turn 3 you can follow it up with either a Thrun or a Hero Bladehold. So I really like the fact that it just gets guys out really fast. It's really tough to deal with for control. And this guy is just, he's pretty good himself. So I think that's enough about the creatures. So I'm going to get into the other spells in just a second here. Alright, for the other spells, we have 4 Midnight Haunting, 3 Overrun, 4 Oblivion Ring, 2 Garruk Relentless. So, Midnight Haunting. It's a instant for 3, and it basically just puts 2 1/1 white spear tokens with flying into the battlefield. This card is good because it's an instant, so you can do nothing on your turn and then on their turn. You can cast it, and either it just applies more pressure, or it can bait out a counter against control decks, which is pretty good because then you can follow it up with like a Hero Bladehold or Mirran Crusader or anything else that's a huge threat. Our next spell Overrun. So this is a 5-mana sorcery, and it gives all of your creatures that you control +3/+3 and trample. This card is nuts, because if you have a Mirran Crusader and a Blade Splicer out, that's 20 damage. The Mirran Crusader is a 5/5 with double strike, so that's 10. The Blade Splicer becomes a 4/4, and its golem becomes a 6/6, which is another 10. So this card really just wins games. I've played it, and people just immediately scoop the second they see it, just because they know there's no way out of it, and it actually takes many people by surprise. Next, this is pretty much the main removal in the deck, Oblivion Ring. So this just, when it enters the battlefield, it's an enchantment for 3. When it enters the battlefield, you exile a non-land permanent, and when it leaves the battlefield, the permanent comes back. Oblivion Ring is just classic removal. It's old card reprint, but you just gotta love an O-Ring. Just some of the best removal in the format. Next, we've got 2 Garruk Relentless. So Garruk Relentless is a 4-drop planeswalker. His first ability is 0. Put a 2/2 green wolf creature into the battlefield. The other 0 is deal 3 damage to target creature, and it does its damage equal to its power back to Garruk. When he has under 2 loyalty, or 2 or under loyalty, he flips into Garruk the Veiled Cursed. So this guy is pretty good too. His +1, you put a 1/1 black wolf creature with death touch into the battlefield. So that's really good, providing blockers and beaters that no one's going to want to block because they have death touch. -1, sacrifice a creature, search your library for another creature, and reveal it and put it into your hand. So this is really good because you can sacrifice like a token or a mana accelerator you don't need anymore, and search up like a Hero Bladeholder or a Thrun, or even a Geist Honored Monk. So he is really, really good. And then his -3 is like kind of overrun, but with creatures in the graveyard. I've never really had to use that in the game, but I can see how it could be useful, because as I said, overrun is nuts. So anyway, those are all of the spells in this deck. I think I'm going to get into the mana base now, but these, I mean, just going back to overrun for just a second, this card is just so good. It interacts with almost every single card in the deck just so well, because Geist Honored Monk brings a bunch of bodies to get bigger. And as I said, Blade Splash from Mirran Crusader swinging for 20. Hero Bladehold. Unfortunately, it doesn't affect the tokens that Hero Bladehold brings, but it still is just really, really good with any creature, really. So, gotta love Overrun. Anyway, I'm going to get into the land base now. Okay, getting into the lands, we have 9 plains. We have 6 forests, 2 Razorverge Thickets, 4 Sunpetal Grove, and 3 Gavany Township. So, plains and forests, just your basic lands. Razorverge Thicket, Scar's lands come into play tapped, unless you have 2 or fewer lands. So this Razorverge Thicket is so good in this deck, because the fact that it comes into play tapped when you have too many lands really isn't that big of a deal, because it's really the first 2 turns that you really need like to get things out, because once, or even 3 turns, because once you get your Hero Bladeholds out, it's just crazy. So for Razorverge Thickets, I definitely want 4. I'm looking for 2 more. The ones are on the channel. So this card's really good. Other dual land, Sunpetal Grove. And then I have 3 Gavany Townships. So this, you tap 4 2 white and 1 green and 2 colorless, and put a +1/+1 counter on all of your creatures. So as I said, adding the +1/+1 counter is so good with Mirran Crusader and Blade Splicer, and you can even pump the tokens on the Hero Bladehold after attacks. So this card is really good. The reason I'm not running 4 is just because, as I said, the turn 1 with the green, if in the mana accelerators, that's just so important to this deck. So sometimes having the colorless mana is a little bit tricky in the beginning, so I like to only run 3 because, I don't know, it's really good for late game, but not great for the first 3 or 4 turns. So this has been my deck tech for Green-White Township. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them down in the comment box below. And if you want to do any trades, just check out our channel. Alright, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you later. Bye.